Welcome back. My name is Lee for Lee's Kitchen. I have an abundance of limes here from my tree and I need to preserve them. So we're going to make a delicious sugar-free lime curd. So welcome back to my channel where we do a lot of from scratch cooking. And so today I have a whole pile of limes that I need to have used up. I picked them a while ago and these are actually limes, but when limes actually ripen, they actually turn yellow. So these are actually ripe now, but still good to use. So we're gonna make a delicious sugar-free lime curd. I think it's gonna be absolutely amazing just on some toast or even in the Ninja Creamy. And I'm gonna show you how easy it is to make. And such few ingredients, I'm gonna show you how easy it is. So before I show you the ingredients, we're actually gonna go into the backyard and pick the remaining limes off the actual tree. So here's our ingredients. It's not too much. So we have our limes, including the ones that we've just picked. I've got 80 grams of butter. And for each recipe, we're gonna need 4 eggs. But because there's so many limes here, I'm probably gonna make a recipe and a half. So what I'll do is I'll post the recipe down below and you can use that as your reference. You can also can it, but I find canning it, it does alter it just a little bit and it's not so nice. So I'm just gonna put this in the fridge and it'll probably be gobbled up pretty fast. And then for a sweetener, if you're not doing anything low carb or anything like that, you can definitely just use sugar, and that uses 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I've got a few sweeteners here. I just thought I'd just say that you could use. You can use a stevia and a erythritol blend. The only issue with this is it does kind of recrystallize a little bit when it does actually cool down. So just keep that in mind. And then you also have your powdered erythritol stevia blend, which probably should work. So then we have allulose. So allulose is very similar to sugar, so you can actually caramelize this and everything. It's not as sweet as sugar, so I'm actually gonna use a cup of this, but the thing is, it doesn't recrystallize or anything. It's actually really good. So I'm gonna use this today. Another thing as well to keep in mind, if you're in Australia, they've actually approved allulose to be used in Australia now. So I actually saw allulose in Woolworths, and it's actually at a reasonable price. I think it was $9 200 grams, which is about the same price as what you pay from ordering from iHerb. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna actually zest these greener ones, and they are a little bit small, and that is just because this is actually the first year my lime tree has actually produced. So that's why they're just a little bit too small. So I'm just gonna zest these three. Love adding the zesting because it just adds that just extra perfume in it. It smells just absolutely amazing. Just zesting these right now. And so for the rest of these, I'm just gonna cut these and I'm gonna juice all of them and we'll see how much lime juice we actually get out of it. All right, so I got about a cup and a half of lime juice here. So I'm gonna make probably about a double recipe. I am gonna change this recipe down the link below just a little bit. I'm gonna use some egg yolks rather than full eggs, just because I actually need the egg whites. So we're gonna do that, but other than that, I think it's gonna turn out fantastic. So for this recipe, you need 2 full eggs and 2 yolks. For this recipe, I'm gonna do 6 egg yolks, and that should thicken it just beautifully. I actually need the whites for another recipe, so I'm actually just going to change that just a little bit. So I've got enough whites for my recipe, so I'm just going to put the full eggs. I'm going to put the full other 2 eggs in. So I have 4 egg yolks and 2 yolks in here. These last ones I'm cracking are pasture raised ones, and the shells are so soft on them. So to my eggs, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of sugar or sweetener. I'm using allulose for this one, and that is 70% as sweet sugar, so I'm going to add a cup of that. Now, I should technically put 2 cups of it for it being a doubled recipe, but I don't like stuff so sweet, so I am going to settle with just the 1 cup. Not to mention, this stuff's pretty expensive as well. I think that's going to be more than enough. And now all we're going to do is we're going to give this a really good whisk until all these eggs have all dissolved the actual sugar and everything, or sweetener, and it's going to get nice and pale, okay? So now that sugar has now been dissolved, we're going to get a pot of water on the stove. It's about half full, and we're just going to get that heating up. So just got that on high at the moment, and then we'll turn it down when we actually go to cook the actual curd. All right, so now this water's almost at the boil. We're going to add our lime zest, and I'm also going to add our lime juice. And now we just want to give this a really good stir. And now we're going to put this onto our pot as a double boiler. So this is just coming up to a boil now, so I'm just going to put this on like a medium heat, so it's just bubbling, not boiling or anything like that. And now with that heat, we're just going to constantly just give this a really good stir. And then once this has thickened, we're going to start adding our butter. And so with my butter, I've just got about 80 grams here. I've cubed it up already just to make it a lot easier. And to be honest, you don't have to do this in a double boiler, but I'm just showing to most people probably would want to use a double boiler, but you can just do this in a pot, heavy pot, just on a really low heat. All right, so this took about 7 minutes. You can see how this is thickened nicely now. So this will set a lot thicker when it actually goes into the fridge, so don't worry too much about that, especially because we're going to add the butter. The butter will actually solidify and actually set this a lot thicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn that right down now. And I have my butter here. And we're just going to do a couple of knobs at a time. If you're wondering why our butter is so yellow, almost all of our dairy is grass-fed in Australia. And then once we have worked in those first ones, we're going to work into the rest of it. All right, and that's it. So now we're ready to get this into a jar and get it in the fridge. So at this time, this is the time when you can actually give it a try, make sure it's nice and sweet for you. So we'll give it a go now and we'll see how it is. So let's give this a go. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely love it. It's nice and tart. It's got a little bit of sweetness, and that butter actually really takes the harshness off the actual lime. So really good. So I'm going to leave it as is, and now we're going to jar it up. So I'm going to pour some of this into a freezer container. The curd actually freezes beautifully. So I'm going to put that in the freezer for later use. And the rest of this, I'm going to put this into the fridge. So I'm just going to put it into a mason jar. And there we go, we've got a mason jar of lime curd ready for the fridge. I'm just going to use an old canning lid because we're not actually canning this. And this will keep for up for a week into the actual fridge. I'm sure it's not going to last that long anyway. And there we go, an absolutely delicious sugar-free lime curd that anyone can have. So I hope you give this recipe a go. I'll post the actual recipe for this down below so you can follow it properly, but it turns out absolutely amazing. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.